Yeah, what up, YouTube? YouTube! It's your boy. Just kidding. Alright. If you know what that is, then I'm somewhat impressed. Alright, so, right where we left off from the last video, and if you haven't seen the last video on setting up the environment to begin writing your first script, I'll link it down below. And so, right where we left off is we finished setting up IntelliJ, like I said, and we created the main class in the source package. Some more of the basics, if you're new to Java, is you have these things that look like folders, which are your packages, and you typically want to make your Java classes under your source folder. I don't see a reason, another reason where you wouldn't. Yeah, as far as I know. Anyway, we are going to be going off of the RSPeer tutorial forum post because it is very thorough, and that's a little sneak peek to the intro. Anyway, yeah, so this is a forum post, and it's very thorough. The reason I'm going to be going basically over this, you can follow along with this if you want, but I know me personally, I am more of a visual learner, and I think that a lot of people are too, so that's why I'm making this video, because this can get pretty complicated in a lot of areas, and I'm going to somewhat dumb it down for you guys, and just wrap it all up, hopefully in a nice, easy to understand manner. So yeah, this whole, I guess let's just start going through it. I won't be reading off of it, I'm just going to be probably skipping bits and pieces, because the first whole part, I think, other than the script matter, we'll do that in a sec. So let me start by saying there are two different ways you can go about, there could be more, two ways that I know of that you can go about actually starting to write your script using the RSPeer inherited methods. And I'm going to briefly go over the first way, which is using this script class, or interface, I guess. And that I will go into more detail in a second. But first things first, we need to add the script meta. So you have, we're going to start with this. Start right here. The script meta, I'm not sure exactly. I know what it does, but actually, yeah, I do know what it does. But it is necessary to be able to compile your script. So what it looks like is, as you can see there, just like, oh, that's not script meta, and you can import it, or you have to import it rather. And basically here, I'm just going to copy this so you guys don't have to see my poor typing skills. So yeah, you can fill this out. You have your name, my alias here. Just got a description of your script and spelling skills and caps lock skills. Wait a minute, what? Okay, well, I'm dumb. This is the name of your script. We're gonna make, well, the one that they make in this tutorial here is a woodcutting script, so I'll go along with that. And I'll probably add some extra bits and pieces into it to show you guys some cool stuff you can do that I think will help you out. This is where you will put your name, If you guys don't know what Dr. Scatman is, I highly recommend looking it up. Why did the commas not get pasted? That's funny, I've never had that before. Oh, just missed one. Okay, probably did something dumb. Yeah, and rather than just skipping over things that I'm doing and confusing you guys, I will explain what I just did there is, you saw how that was red. That means there was an issue, an error with it, and what you can do, see, it cannot resolve symbol because it doesn't know what it is because you haven't technically imported. Here it automatically imported when I pressed Alt Enter, the script category. That's an RSPeer thing. So like I said, what you can do is, I think you can either just, there's a different way to do it, but a nice keyboard shortcut is Alt Enter, and come on now. Oh, okay. Again, I'm dumb. I'm sorry. This is a category, so I think you have to put a specific RSPeer cat. Yep. So if you start typing, for example, one's money making, one's okay, M's. That's why I do like IntelliJ over things like Vim or Notepad++, because with RSPeer, all the classes are static. So once you type a dot, it's going to list all of the different methods, or in this instance, all different fields within that class. And so again, script category dot, and it's going to bring up all of them. So this is a woodcutting script, so W would be near the bottom, right? Okay, cool. They do have a woodcutting category. And yeah, so that's your script meta. Sorry that took so long for just that. I'll speed things up here. Anyway, that's going to allow you to compile your script. And now to actually begin, we need to extend. So here's where I come to how there's two different ways to do it. First, about good portion, maybe even half of this tutorial, he goes through using the script class or interface, extending script, and that is going to give you, here, let me just show you. This I never really use. I can only think of some situations where, and yeah, it automatically imports when I press enter. I can only think of some situations where you use it because, here, I'll show you. So here it's all underlined red, which means something's wrong, so I just, again, Alt Enter, and you need to implement methods, and here you have the, what do they call it, loop class, and this is where everything happens. So, we have public, I think it's, no, it's definitely void. Void on stop, which is another, I think that on stop, yep. Also, no, oh, yep, okay. And I'm not sure if you need this. I think you might actually, yeah, okay. You have on stop, which then it's not necessary, which is why I added myself, and on start, come on, which he just explains here. Basically what happens is, yeah, like in his comment, it on start is going to only execute once, and that's right when you first start your script in RSPeer. Loop is just going to, like, it's pretty self-explanatory, keep looping. So this is where the majority of your code is going to be for the script. And I will show you how to do that in a minute. And then on stop is what's going to happen when your script stops. So with RSPeer, if you get, for example, banned or disabled rather, it will automatically stop the script, and this method will be called. Or even if you just press the stop button, or if it crashes, I believe we'll go here as well. Um, so yeah, these are the three basic methods for this first way, which I personally never really use. Um, and the reason is because you have just this loop method, which everything is supposed to be done inside. Um, and that kind of, if you want to make a bigger script with more moving pieces or different parts to it rather than just a um, one simple thing. Like for example, I use this for something basic, like if you're going to do a very repetitive task over and over again, like if all I wanted to do was, um, I don't know, cut, yeah, wood cut. If that was the only thing I wanted to do and I didn't want to have banking or other various tasks in the game implemented into it, or even possibly in the future that I just use this, I could see things like even tutorial island scripts being done like this because it's all just uh, one course of action that doesn't have very many variables. And because of that, I'm not going to really show you guys how to use that. It's a lot of just like basic stuff. And I think if you're watching this, then you're going to be wanting to do something a little more versatile and not necessarily it's not more complex. It makes things simpler, in my opinion. So I'm going to go and show you how to do that. But before I do that, there is one more thing, which is this return. As you can see, this returns in, ones are just voids. So the number that you give it is the number of milliseconds it will sleep the thread, or I think they just call it time.sleep method, but the amount of time it will sleep in between each loop. So, for example, if I had some code here, blah, 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 and then you obviously executes all this and goes to the return statement, it's going to hit 1,000, which is 1,000 milliseconds, like I said, and that's equivalent to 1 second. So things like 2 seconds would be 2,000, half a second would be 500, obviously. Just basic math. 20 seconds would be 20,000, and so on. Pretty simple. That's how long it sleeps between each loop. Yeah. Now, the more versatile way, which I personally use, is extending task script. And with this, you don't have a loop method. You still have it on start and on stop, which you can implement. And instead, you have nothing, actually. It's just the on start. And what happens in the on start is you are supposed to call this method, which is part of task script, which is why you have access to it, called submit. And what submit does is allows you, how did that get out of there? Oh, that's probably from your submit. Okay. What submit does is it allows you to submit different tasks that it will loop through. And I will show you the way that it is set up. So, yeah, he's going to make pseudocode. I don't need to worry about that. Okay, yep. So we'll get to that here in a second. Where is it? I know what I'm looking for. I don't even. Okay, it doesn't matter. That's not right. Yeah, so here you can see. Actually, I don't know if you can see. Wow. He just that's a pseudocode, and then here's his way of extending script, and doing the loop method. So he has all this code just in one method, which I really like personally, and it's not as versatile. So what we're gonna do now is how I like to organize it. I think I learned off of this tutorial, so I think he organize it this way too, is have a package called tasks, and typical syntax semantics is lowercase for packages. And you're gonna, inside that, right click on the package, new Java class. This is where all your tasks are gonna go. So for example, we have your woodcut task. Wow, again spelling. Woodcut task, and we're gonna also have banking, and don't call it bank just because there's already a bank class which is in RSPeer, so that will cause issues. So I call it banking. I know it's here. What else does he demonstrate? Okay. He somehow does bank. Drop, and yeah, traverse, okay. Drop, task, traverse. So, what should I show you first? I guess whatever he shows first. Well, I'm going to show you banking first. So, go inside the banking class, and instead of how in the main you extended task script, you are going to extend or extends task. And again, I press enter and it imported it. Alt enter, implement. Nope. Okay, you do have to sometimes be careful. That's a good demonstration actually. Again, just spam the keyboard, and I don't know, I'll give her that right now. Okay. You need to make sure you import the RSPeer one, because for a lot of these there are, for example, Java FX, as you can see there, tasks, so make sure it's org to RSPeer. And then alt enter and implement methods, and now this is where all the magic is done with task script. So you have, like I said, the main, which extends task script, and then you have all of the tasks which we are going to submit, and I'll show you that in a minute. But every task is going to inherit a validate method and an execute method. Excuse me. And the main purpose, I guess, let me start with the validate one, obviously. So what validate does is when this, I guess, let's start by this. If I do this, this will make more sense, I think. So what you do here, on start, you're gonna submit the tasks. So each task you want to have the task script loop over, essentially. So here, let me just start doing it. I'll explain it all the way. I think that will make more sense. New banking. I don't know why it's going like that. New traverse. Oh, you know what it is? It is, because I haven't actually added more tasks yet, or extended more tasks. Anyway, so yeah, you submit the task, and you just keep adding onto the list. And how it works is the first task you submit has the highest priority, which means, let me think about this, how I can demonstrate this the best. Alright, so what happens is when you submit a task, like banking, as the first task, and then you have other tasks like walk, or I guess traverse, and cut, as in woodcut, and eat, and fight, for example. What's going to happen, how this is going to execute is, obviously it's going to go to the first one when it first starts and try looping over that. So for example, it's going to go to banking, it's going to call the validate method, and if validate returns true, it's going to then sequentially call the execute method. And it's going to keep calling this execute method in a loop inside banking without even trying to go to any of these other tasks. It's going to keep looping over the execute until validate is false. And then when validate returns false, it's going to try the next one. And for example, if walk is able to validate, so validate returns true when traverse doesn't walk, then it will keep looping until validate returns false again. And then this is what you need to remember, because the first one has highest priority, second priority, third priority. If walk returns, when walk returns false, it's not going to go to cut next. It's going to go and try to validate banking. And let's say banking is true, it's going to execute banking rather than going to cut. So for example, if it's executing walk and then walk becomes false, it's going to go to banking. Let's say banking is false, go back to walk. This is just how the program executes. Walk is still false, goes to cut, say cut is true, then it will cut, and then until cut's false, it will go back to banking because that's highest priority, and then say that's false, back to walk, false, cut, false, eat, false, back to fight till true. And for example, it's always gonna, whenever one returns false, it's gonna go back to the first priority, highest priority one first. And this is pretty vital to remember so that you have your tasks executed in the proper order, because obviously they'll go out of order and it won't work as you expect. And that can be very confusing for beginners. I know at least it was for me to figure out, because I thought it was just going through sequentially one after another. Yeah, so banking. Anyway, right now it's defaults to return false, so it's never going to execute. So let's just say return true. Actually, no, let's start coding. So if, this is a little shorthand way of doing a if statement, if bank dot, and this is how RSPeer works. Since everything's static, this is why it's one of it is personally my favorite body client, because every class is static. So for example, if I want to do something like banking, you just type bank, and a lot of things like if you want to walk, for example, it's movement, so it's very what's the word for that? I guess self-explanatory. So if you want to do something like combat, there's combat, so it'd be fighting and all that stuff. It's very, very simple. And of course, how could I forget to show you this? I guess it is a good time to bring it up. Is the Java docs. And in here, it can be very intimidating when you're looking at all the different classes you can import. However, what a lot of people don't know to do when they open a Java docs is what's super useful. I'm sure you all know this keyboard command, at least it's Control F, and you can just search for things like, for example, movements. And in most cases, it doesn't do that because you typically have one of these open, like for example, there's banking, and then if I am to search movement, it will go to the movement ones, classes here, and it will highlight them. I guess there are a bunch of different ones up there. So yeah, movement, and then you can look at all the different methods inside there. So if you don't know, for example, what something is called, like for example, one that I had to look up recently was how to world hop, and of course it's just called world hopper right there. And being that I didn't know what the class is called, I used Java docs. But if you know what the class is called, then you can just type something like bank, because I already know the banking class is bank, and type a dot, and then you can go through all the different methods you have access to, and all the different, I guess, things you can do in the game. So right here, a good way to read this, and I know that for a lot of people who already know Java out there, this is probably very monotonous for you and boring, because I'm going over pretty much everything, or trying to at least, so even people who are just getting started with Java are able to pick up and start scripting. So yeah, I'll try to go over it quick. Bank.isOpen is going to return a boolean. Right here is the return, what it returns. Boolean true false, obviously. So yeah, bank that is open will return true false. So if the bank is open, it will return true. So that will return true, which means it will execute banking. So if the bank is open, however, we want to also have it open the bank. So we're going to do or, what should we do? What is there? Oh yeah, okay, here's another one. Inventory. If inventory is full. So if your inventory is full, then it will go and execute banking. So the reason our bank is open here is because if it's already banking, as in the bank is currently open, then it will keep executing. Or if the inventory is full, which if you're banking, it might stop being full and thus stop banking, which we don't want, which is why I have is open here as well. Then we go into execute. So now, first of all, if there's two scenarios. One is pretty much already handled by itself. The bank is already open, and that we don't have to worry about going and finding a bank and opening a bank. However, if inventory is full, it can happen pretty much anywhere. So, like I said, the return, this is just like with when the loop method, like in the loop method, where this is the amount of time it sleeps, so 1,000 milliseconds, aka 1 second, in between each loop. Here we're going to do bank dot open, and that's going to open the nearest bank. You can also do bank locations, and that's just a bank location class, and you can open specific bank locations, like for example at the Great Exchange. But we're just going to do the nearest, and we're going to say if bank dot is open is false, so if the bank is not open, obviously, then we're going to do bank.open. So we'll keep executing bank.open, which is going to walk you towards the nearest bank and attempt to open it. And we're going to keep executing that until the bank is open. And then we'll go and do this next condition, which if bank, you don't technically need to do this. This is just an extra check. I'm usually rather safe than sorry in this instance. So this is making sure the bank, in this case, is open. And so if bank is open, let's say we want to bank dot deposit. We'll just do deposit all, which is deposit inventory. So we're going to deposit everything in our inventory. Actually, let's do, for a little more interesting, we'll do deposit all except, and then inside it has an int ID parameter, which the ID is a RuneScape ID, or you can even do with pretty much all these, I think just a string. So for example, I can do coins, it has to be, it's case sensitive and all that, it has to be the exact name of the item in the game. So you can always look that up on the wiki. And so this full screen. However, I like to do the ID. I think it is more optimized for the ID, but you can just as well do the RuneScape name, I'm sure, as well. So this is just going to deposit everything in your inventory except your coins or your GP. And yeah, I think that's all we really need to do with banking. I'm going to show you there's obviously withdrawal and whatever else you can do with banking. Not much else. You can change it to note, the withdraw mode. You can switch it to bank withdraw mode. You can get the withdraw mode and check what withdraw mode is in. You can do withdraw mode note. So this is going to switch it to a noted form. Then you could withdraw something as a note. However, for this simple, for this simple task, banking task, we're just woodcutting. I think that's all we're really going to do. Deposit all except 995. You don't really even need that, but okay. It's just an example. Let's go on to traverse here. Now this is where it starts getting fun, in my opinion. We could use a really cool tool. So again, just like the other class, oops, extends task, make sure you get the right one. Alt enter again, implement methods, validate execute. Sorry, I have a Cherry MX Blue keyboard, which means it's very loud. Also, I'm just spamming the enter key. Yeah, so validate. When do we want to traverse? Let's say, okay, let's just say if, alright, here's what we do for, I'm going to write it and then explain it to you guys, but actually, we need to do something before we do that. So let me just open up the tool and show you guys that first. So, what this nice, nifty tool is called, and I'm almost positive they don't have this in the tutorial, if I can get back to it. Yeah, they don't. From what I remember, this was right before the tool came out for selecting locations in game, but just recently this made search the full name. Yeah, it's called the Explosives Map, and it's a GitHub link. And what you use, or what you do with this is, obviously it is a very neat map of all RuneScape, which you can zoom in, zoom out on. Has all the cities labeled, you can search different places, and it has autofill, or whatever this shit is called. Grand Exchange, not there, it's here. And yeah, so let's go to Lumbridge. Alright, so make sure you have array selected, and of course spot type as RSPeer. I think the default is OS spot. Obviously this is an RSPeer tutorial, so select RSPeer. And then you have various different area selectors here. And we're going to do Lumbridge. So let's just grab, no, let's do something a little cooler than just a rectangle. Let's grab the, whoa, this is called poly area, and select an area with some trees, and this is going to be our wood cutting area. Jeez, how does this work? Okay, well, we're going to have one of those unique scripting tutorials on YouTube. As we're going to have, this is our area. No other script out there like this, an area like this. Do I do all that? Yeah. Everything but the definition. You copy, and that's what's cool about this tool, is it gives you the code like that. And with this, it's a location constant, so I like to, and I'm pretty sure in the tutorial, create a new Java package, and I just called it data, and that's what that is right there. I already created it. And inside this package, we'll create a class. It's called location. And with location, it's not technically a class. It's a no, it's C++. It's a enum in Java. And what's cool about enum, you can just Google it if you don't know what it is. That's what's cool about programming, I guess, is you can literally find answer to anything, just Google it. Almost anything. Can't really hack on Microsoft, but that's another matter. Yeah, so it's an enum essentially is just a class you have to instate shape, at least. That's the best way I can describe it. It's probably not the official definition, but anyway, so let's call this area, or W underscore areas for wood cutting area, and we will paste the code we copied in there. And of course, I'll enter import areas, of course, the in-game area, super self-explanatory, which is why I love RSPeer, one of the reasons why. Position as well, whether it's in-game position or tiles. be applied. Location. Oh, I think I just, because I need the constructor? Yeah, probably. Wait, why is that? Interesting. Very interesting. Anyway, I'm not going to worry about that. I hope it resolves itself and then the constructor. Constructor is just the class name, and it's going to be area. Oh yeah, there we go. Look at that. What do you know? And you need a field, so it's just like setting up any other, not private area. Is it area? Yeah. We'll get the fingers on the right keys. Area. This area equals area. Jeez. Press right keys. I put my water bottle in the way of my keyboard. That's what I'm gonna blame it on. Also, I'm not a very fast typer. I never learned the proper way to place my fingers on the keys, so I just improvise. Anyway, enough of my sob stories. What else do we need? Oh yeah. We need a getter to get the actual area from this enum. Get. Yeah, we'll just call it get area, I guess. Oh, cool. Automatically does it for us. Returns area. You can also just, what's cool about most IDs nowadays is you can, what is it, code? No, I think it's just right click. Generate, getters and setters, constructors. Yeah, so we already have a getter, so I didn't generate anything. And oh yeah, what's cool about an enum is you can have multiple. We'll put area W area 2. You put a comma here, and then you can have multiple areas. This is just the same, but I could just as easily select a different area and put this in here. Yeah, and then you could easily switch between the two, or have the user select it in a GUI. Yeah.